This guy is very, very illegal in a lot of places. The fact that the only way to really deploy this guy is with gravity itself. The only issue with the original Reate exoskeleton is the fact that it didn't have the locking mechanism. You're talking about a knife that could open and close at any time, right? The really scary part with the OG version is that EDC carrying it was sort of a deal. As soon as I found out it had a locking mechanism and a pocket clip, I was sold. I was like, okay, this is my time. This is my moment to go ahead and grab one as soon as possible. Hello and what is going on, guys? Welcome back to Miguel EDC, where we talk everything EDC gear here. My name is Miguel, and today we're going to be talking about this guy right here, the Reate EXO-M. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, and you know exactly what we're talking about here. I got a chance to unbox this guy a couple of weeks ago in the channel. I have been having a chance to EDC this guy non-stop over the last couple of weeks, and it's about time. It's about time, because this guy has not left my pocket this entire time. I have prioritized EDC in this guy, and honestly, I also found it hard to put it down. I also found it hard to replace this guy in my pocket for so long. I'm trying to get into a rotation here with a couple other knives that I'm trying to review as well. So it was time for this guy to kind of give up its place for some other knives. But man, I find it so difficult because this is such a solid, good looking, awesome knife in so many different ways. I can't wait to get into it with you guys. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. What are we working with right here? Let's get into it. So we have the Reate. Reate, if you don't know, makes some sexy, good looking, best of the business out there kind of knives. And this is the Reate EXO-M. We have a full titanium construction on this guy all around. We're going to talk more about that. We have a micarta black inserts right here as well. And of course, this guy is a gravity knife, which is very, very legal in a lot of places. We're going to talk more about that as the video progresses, as we get into more and more details about this guy. But yes, this is a full-on gravity knife. Good thing about this one is that it has a locking mechanism, right? This mechanism right here is really, really good. It makes a huge difference compared to the OG exoskeleton from Reate. It's a much larger knife, which didn't have the locking mechanism. And without further ado, let's go ahead and show you guys the action on this guy. It sounds something like this. You all ready? Here we go. And I gotta tell you, that sound right there does not get all out. So you got the blade open there, you can lock it in place, and you know that blade is not closing on you. It sort of becomes a fixed blade at this point once you have it closed like that, which is pretty neat. I went ahead and got mine here in the double edge dagger blade. Wanted to get it like this because I thought that was pretty unique. The fact they were offering a dagger double edge version to this guy. It's also my very, very first double edge blade out of my whole collection so far. So I was excited for that. It is rocking a Stonewashed CPM 3V blade right there. So you guys can get a closer look. That's what we got going on there. We're going to touch more on that later on. But yeah, that's the name of the business, right? It is locked in place. In order to close it, just unlock here the latch. Boom, just like that. All right, so let's go over the basics here. Let's get a quick readout on overall length for this guy. Let's see what we got working with right here. We have a total of 7 3/4 of an inch, just a little bit shy, a little bit under 7 3/4 of an inch right there. The handle, this handle is a little bit, it's interesting because it's actually slanted in a way. So we're talking about 4.5 inches there for the handle. The blade is going to be a total of about 3 1/4, and the cutting edge is going to be 3 inches, right? 3 inches right there on the cutting edge. So some quick size comparisons on this guy. Here it is compared to the Spider Coast Mock. That is definitely a much larger knife, much larger handle, much larger blade. Here's the PM2 right there. That's also a larger knife, larger handle and blade. So this guy's going to be somewhere in the medium to small size, which is pretty neat for EDC tasks. Of course, the original Reate exoskeleton is going to be a little bit larger than this guy for sure. This is more of a smaller version of that. Check out the Para 3 right there. So yeah, definitely very, very comparable to the Para 3, no doubt about that. Much more closer in size there than the PM2. We'll do a couple more. Here is the Demco 80 20.5 in the shark's foot. Here is the clip point, and again, very comparable in size, right? All of these are in the medium to smaller range of knives right there, so very, very comparable to those guys, the Demco 80 20.5. Our next is the Sencut brothers here, Sencut Crawley and the Sencut Saxy. Very comparable to the Saxy as far as size. The Crawley is a little bit larger right there, but again, somewhere in that range. Here's the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2 right there, and yes, a lot closer, I would say, to the Rat Model 2, right, in that medium to small size. Rat Model 1 is a behemoth of a knife. By the way, also the review on that guy is out very recently. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. Here it is next to the Civivi Elementum. The Elementum, that is the OG, is a little bit smaller. Here is the CJRB Pyrite. I want to say it is larger, of course, than the Pyrite and larger than the Elementum. So there it is right there. You guys be the judge. Now this guy is rocking a very squarish, boxy design. I sort of really love the aesthetics on this guy. There's this this very like chunky, squarish, rectangular looking handle, right? Very, very unique to this guy. Let's do a quick carry profile here just for the sake of consistency in the reviews. There it is next to the PM2, just a little bit skinnier than the PM2. There it is next to the Spyderco Smock, still a little bit less than the Smock right there. Of course, the Smock has liners and also scales. This guy's one solid titanium construction. Next to the 80-20.5. 80-20.5 is very slim on this Avery grade combination, so very, very comparable right there. All right, so what is it like in the pocket, right? What is it like in the pocket? This guy is so slim in the pocket. It really reminds me a lot of something, let's say like the Smock, right? Definitely very, very slim right there. So something like the PM2 is definitely going to be a lot wider. Check that out with Spidey hole. It takes off a lot of real estate for sure in the pocket. There's the Para 3, same story, right? This guy's still a lot slimmer than those two. All right, next to the Demko 80-20.5 brothers, still very, very slim by a long shot, right? Obviously the blade shape and how much it sticks out of the handle on the Demkos doesn't help. It makes them much wider right there than the Reate. Next to the Senka brothers, yep, definitely the Crawley is going to be the more comparable one, right? It has a much slimmer design compared to the Saxy with that humongous wide blade right there, right? You guys get the idea. And last but not least, we have the Ontario Rat Model 1 on top, Rat Model 2 at the bottom. And I want to say maybe it compares a lot more to the Rat Model 2, no doubt about that. The Rat Model 1 is, yeah, it's a chunker of a knife for sure, so it's a lot wider there. And just for giggles, here is the Civivi Elementum and the CJRB Pyrite, and yeah, definitely compares a lot to those two as far as the width. It, yeah, definitely has that slim profile going on, which is very elegant, pretty neat. I want to say when it comes to gentleman knife, I want to say it used to be the Smock for me, right? But yeah, this Reate knife right here, that definitely kind of scratches that itch as well. So if I'm going somewhere, I'm doing any type of like gentleman carry with a suit or something, I might want to do the Reate EXO-M right there, because yeah, also serves that purpose very, very, very well. All right, like I mentioned earlier, this guy is all titanium. Again, the double-edged dagger blade, and this guy has a couple of different configurations. I know there was a Tanto version as well. There was a drop point, which is pretty common, and there is the double edge, which is the one that I have here. Also for the micarta, there was black, green, and burlap. And given the other options, for me, yeah, definitely black was the way to go. It was, in my opinion, more elegant, better looking than burlap or green. But yeah, these guys were so popular, were in such high demand. It was basically a drop would take place in one of the major knife dealers, and it would be gone within the hour or so. That's how quickly these guys were, basically the orders were being fulfilled and these guys were going out of stock. I actually picked this guy up over at NC Blades, ncblades.com. So if you haven't checked out the unboxing, that was an awesome experience. I got this guy in about 2 days, so it was pretty good shipping as well. All right, with all that in mind, let's do a quick hardware check on this guy. Let's see what we have going on. My tools are very, very reliable, very, very recommendable. So if you want to check them out, links will be in the description. Those are at no extra cost to you. My guess is that we have T8, that all looks like T8 going on, and yeah, even the pocket clip, which by the way, we're gonna get into here in just a second. But let's see, hardware check. All right, yeah, there it is, T8 right there. Also on the micarta inserts. All right, over on the other side. All right, same story. Now we also have some other guys going on right here, which are T8 as well. I like the consistency, right? These ones here kind of holding the blade, I'm assuming. So yeah, we got TA going on all around on this guy. I'm looking for my calipers. Here we go. So let's do a quick blade stock thickness on this guy. Since we're here, I think the best way to measure the stock thickness is going to be down here, since it's a double edge. Got some grinding going on there on both ends. So yeah, 0.11 inches, right? 0.11 inches right there. All right, I want to say at the very tip, this guy does drop down to a very pointy tip, and it's going to be pretty hard to capture that. So, all right, there it is, 0.01, 0.01. And yeah, needless to say, that's going to be a very pointy tip. No doubt about that. Yeah, this guy is super sharp. We'll be doing a paper cutting test here very shortly, just to showcase how much of an edge this guy has retained, again, after using it for a couple of weeks. But yeah, and then the fact that you have an edge going on one end, let's say that goes dull, just turn the knife around, you have an edge going on the other side. In my opinion, I'm really starting to like these double-edged dagger style blades, because of, you know, the fact that you have more blade to work with, right? So you have an additional blade, so to speak, right? You have like two knives in one. Again, it's not necessarily a flat grind. It kind of becomes a flat grind all the way to the middle, right? And then from the middle, then it's a flat grind on the opposite way right there. That's kind of how a dagger blade works. This guy is in CPM 3V. That's a pretty good entry level to the super steels, if you will. It is my very first CPM 3V blade, I can tell you that. And based on what I researched, CPM 3V offers a good hardness, toughness, and wear resistance, which is pretty good. Might be a little bit challenging later down the road when I have to resharpen this guy. We'll see about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, as far as the steel, pretty good. Corrosion resistant, even though it's not fully stainless steel. It has some semi-stainless characteristics to it, which are pretty good. So it helps with corrosion quite a bit. And overall, as you would expect, better than D2, no doubt about that. All right, could they have probably dropped this guy on, let's say, like a 20 CV or M390 steel for the price? Probably, right? Probably in one of those options would have been very, very nice. But hey, with 3V, I'm not complaining. And it also has a Stonewashed finish, which kind of goes pretty good along with the whole titanium color. It kind of blends in pretty good, and it kind of adds into the aesthetics quite a bit, making the overall knife as a whole. I mean, this is one sexy, one really, really good looking knife right here. So let's talk about the fact that it's a gravity knife. So yeah, this guy is very, very illegal in a lot of places. The fact that the only way to really deploy this guy is with gravity itself. I guess you could manually, you know, with two hands, put your finger here and do that. But who's gonna do that, right? Obviously, you're gonna want to use gravity to open, right? And then once the full blade comes out, then this piece right here of the handle is going to hold it in place right there, right? Like that. And then when you want to close the blade, simply move this piece out of the way as well, and then gravity does the rest. Just like that, right? Which is pretty sweet. All right, speaking of all things, this guy has a serial number. So this is a 2023. Let me see if the camera wants to cooperate. Yeah, this is a 2023, January 2023 run, serial number 268. So that's pretty neat, right? For collectability, for collection purposes. It's pretty nice to know kind of what run your knife was and what month and then what serial number and such, right? So like I mentioned earlier, there is a OG version to this knife, right? It is a much longer knife. I want to say the handle is probably, I really wish I had one so I could really do a side-by-side comparison, but I want to say the handle is probably a little bit longer than this guy. It'll be maybe something like 6, I want to say maybe like 5 inches overall, so a little bit longer, right? And obviously a longer blade. The only issue with the original Reate Exoskeleton is the fact that it didn't have the locking mechanism, right? So if this locking mechanism here didn't exist, I mean, you're talking about a knife that could open and close at any time, right? The really scary part with the OG version is that EDC carrying it was sort of a deal. You sort of had to get this very special plastic or this very special sheath. This is a very special sheath or knife holder for it if you wanted to carry it, so it definitely couldn't be in your pocket, so it will have to be some sort of belt buckle solution or something like that. And then the original one also didn't come with a clip, so just being able to put it in your pocket the same way you would any other EDC knife was a challenge with the original one. When I saw the original one, I knew right off the bat that I wanted to get one of these guys at some point. The second that I saw that it had that they were dropping this version here with a locking mechanism, right, which by the way, they knocked this guy out of the park. All right, so as soon as I found out it had a locking mechanism and a pocket clip, I was sold. I was like, okay, this is my time. This is my moment to go ahead and grab one as soon as possible. Shout out to one of my viewers who actually gave me a heads up and let me know that ncblade.com had it in stock. I immediately went to the website and placed my order. Did not waste any time. I was lucky enough to get this guy in the mail about 2 days later. There's two things that I want to talk about this guy mainly. One that I really like, one that is maybe a gripe. So I really like the locking mechanism, right? It not only does it get the job done, not only does it do what it's supposed to do, also it's so satisfying to slide this back and forth, right? Reate just nailed that. Let me see if the mic can pick that up. It's like such a solid sound to it, right? So it's unlocked, you have a clear image to know exactly when it's unlocked and when it's locked versus just knowing up and down which one each is. So that's pretty nice that they printed that. But when it's unlocked, you can clearly see right over here the path that the clip rides on. The second it's closed, you slide the lock forward and yeah, definitely locks it closed. And by the way, for record purposes, that is pretty locked right there. That is not going anywhere once it's locked. There's a little bit of sound because obviously the nature of the knife and how it has to slide and such. But yeah, that is not opening at any moment. And then the second you unlock, you can go about your opening function and then be able to lock that blade out for whatever use. Same deal, you know, on the return, which is pretty nice, right? The one thing I don't necessarily like for this price point, I mean, we're talking about a $285 knife, almost $300, I'd say, with taxes. Yeah, it was definitely over $300 for sure. It's the fact that yeah, it does have a pocket clip, which is nice for a gravity knife like this one. However, the actual screw that they use, as you can see, is not a recessed screw. Take a look at that. For comparison purposes, let me show you this CJRB pyrite on the pocket clip right here. You can see the screws are recessed because they go all the way in. The head of the screw is not sticking out in any way, shape, or form. Here it is next to the Reate knife. Again, this is like a $60 knife. This is a $300 knife. And yeah, Reate, I'm sorry to say, sort of kind of missed the ball on this one, right? Very simple to do a pocket clip. So many great pocket clips out there. You know, you could have made that screw recess, right? That would have helped when putting it in and out of the pocket, make sure it goes in all the way. So with that small gripe out of the way, it is a deep carry pocket clip, which is nice. So that means the whole knife is going to be well hidden, concealed away in your pocket, which is nice. None of it is going to be showing. For such a boxy looking knife, as far as what it looks like when it's closed, I sort of would have liked a perhaps better looking pocket clip here, one that would have kind of been, you know, more fitting to the overall design. It kind of looks very generic, to say the least, when put against such a good looking knife. You know, when you really look at this thing all throughout, you admire the detail. It is such a great, sexy, good looking knife. And then the pocket clip, it's just so generic. It gets the job done, right? I like that they didn't make it longer than it needed to, but it just looks so generic when, you know, next to such an elegant design. You do have some really good jimping going on right here at the top, which is very nice, and texture. I talked about that during the unboxing. So yeah, when you're doing your cuts, right, you run your thumb through there. Your thumb is not moving anywhere just because of how much grip you get with that kind of cross line pattern design right there, which is very nice. I want to say the micarta feels a lot different than, let's say, the micarta on my Sencut. Both of these are micarta. However, this one on the Sencut, for example, is very, very grippy, kind of rough. I can tell the micarta on the EXO-M has been very polished. So in a way, it's up to your taste. I don't really mind it that much. I think it kind of goes well with the overall design. Exposed metal, you know, doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, all that extra grippy. Still gives you a good accent to the knife right there, the, you know, with the micarta. But yeah, something to note is that it's not as grippy as some of the other micarta that you may be used to. That being said, I love everything about this knife. I really like the attention to details, you know, all the grooves, all the lines, right, everywhere. I like this screw right here, right? It's so nice and shiny, attention to detail, right? That gets some extra points in my book right there. When it opens, right, you can clearly see the separation right there. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you what that locking mechanism looks like from the inside. Let me get some light right here. Yeah, it's so challenging to do, so challenging to do with holding the flashlight with the one hand and trying to do everything with my left hand. And of course, it's a gravity knife, so you try to make sure it's like, okay, do I have control of the blade at all times so I know what the blade is doing, right? I like this nice imprint right here of the Reate logo, right? That is very, very nice right there. They didn't have to do anything crazy. I think that definitely gets the job done. Got a nice print right there on the blade for the CPM3V. The ergos, right? How are the ergos on this guy, right? Despite being all squared and whatnot, I want to say when you grip this guy, it is an absolute very, very comfortable knife. Absolutely very comfortable knife to hold. No doubt about that. You could hold it this way and make your forward cuts, make your backwards cuts. If you wanted to turn it around, right, 180 degrees, right, you could definitely do that. Still feels just as comfortable. I have medium hands, not too big, not too small. There's plenty of room right there when holding the knife. And as you can see, there's even extra space for folks with larger hands. Of course, this wouldn't be a review video if we don't go ahead and do a quick paper cutting test. You guys already know how we do it in the channel. This guy came out of the box about 3 weeks ago or so, if not longer, and I've been EDCing it since non-stop. So chances are it being CPM3V has retained a really good edge. So in case you haven't seen the unboxing, or just to give you a quick reference, here we go. Let's do some quick cutting. Let me know in the comments on a scale from 1 to 10 how sharp this guy is. Here we go. Bam. All right, kind of tore a little bit on that end right there. And again, I'm using the right side forward blade right there. It tore a little bit right there. Let me turn it around for a second. All right, yeah, definitely cutting right there, no doubt about that. Oh, a little bit of a tear right there. Does this guy need to be resharpened or stropped? You guys let me know in the comments. I think there's a point here where it's actually catching. Yeah, there's a point there where it catches for some reason. How strong is the blade here when closed, right? Listen to that. You do have a little bit of play on the blade right there, right? But again, it's not that much. Very similar to, let's say, a Microtech OTF. But yeah, other than that, that is not going anywhere. This guy is solid. When this guy is closed and locked, that blade is going nowhere. That is a rock solid, arguably a fixed blade at that point. All right, needless to say, did I mention that this guy was fidgety, right? In case I didn't mention that already, or in case you didn't know that by now, this guy is one of the most fidgety knives out there. Just that sound alone, right? It can definitely drive your spouse crazy. I know my wife's about to like choke me after just hearing this knife open and close and deploy and close so many times. But yeah, I just can't. This is not getting old for me at all. And I've been EDCing this nonstop for so many weeks now. And it's like the first time. It's like I just opened it out of the box. That's how good it's still feels for me. I'm sure it might get old at some point, but I mean, there's very few knives out there that are gravity knives like this one that provide the same type of feel, the same type of fidgetability, if you will, in such a unique and such a nice way with such great acoustics to it. So the pocket clip is not meant to be for left carry. That is one thing, maybe a sunk for this knife. But yeah, you could use it with your left hand if you wanted to. Obviously, my left hand, as you know in the channel, isn't as highly trained. It's not my dominant hand, and I'm getting it done. The only thing that might be an issue is yeah, even gripping it, it feels good and natural on my left hand. Of course, you maybe have to turn the knife 180 just to be able to do the lock and unlock with your thumb if you were using your left hand. But that, along with the pocket clip situation not being reversible, are probably a gripe. But if you're a lefty, don't let that leave you out of the equation. You can still experience this knife. You can do just about everything, right? As I shall demonstrate here one last time. Unlock, turn, there you go. Open, close, turn, 180, lock. So in conclusion, would I recommend this knife? Would I recommend this gravity knife? So first of all, a couple of things that you need to do. The first thing I will say is be very, very familiar with your local laws, your local knife laws. Obviously, one thing you want to know for sure is it going to be legal for you to own in your state? I can think of maybe California right off the bat where I know gravity knives are not legal whatsoever, even to own. I live in Florida, so you can own these and also carry them as well, which is pretty nice. So definitely do your homework there. The least thing you would want to do is you wouldn't want to buy a knife that you're not able to carry, or you would be considered illegal to own. Yeah, it is a gravity knife. It is considered illegal in a lot of places, so do your research as far as that goes. So that being said, let's say you do live somewhere where it is legal to own, illegal to carry, and if that's the case, if you're able to check those boxes, I want to say yes, you should definitely give this guy a try. If you have the OG and you already know what the gravity knife experience is all about, I want to say maybe upgrading or getting the lockable version will definitely make it so you could EDC this knife more often. Pocket clip and the lockability, right, being able to lock it shut, lock it open, definitely adds a lot of more functionality and day-to-day carryability to it. And I would recommend this guy ultimately. Yes, I would definitely recommend this guy. I think this guy is very, very unique in its own way. Like I mentioned earlier, there are so very few knives out there offering what this guy brings to the table. Gravity knives that I've seen, there are some out there, but not as many are executed in such an excellent way, done so well, so fidget friendly, such great acoustics with such attention to detail. I mean, again, Reate nailed this locking mechanism. It feels so premium. It feels so satisfying just to lock and unlock this guy. The quality overall, I can see that this is a well-made knife. There aren't any inconsistencies or things like that, things out of place, except that pocket clip, like I mentioned earlier, feels a little generic. But yeah, other than that, which I have kind of gotten over, to be honest, at this point, everything else is so good about this guy. It is, yeah, definitely up there, definitely worth the purchase. And yeah, this is gonna be a keeper for a lifetime, this guy right here. Hopefully I don't change my mind at any point later on, but I don't see myself getting rid of this knife anytime soon. That's how good it is. It adds a whole different experience to my overall knife collection that other knives are just not able to provide. That is this guy right there. So I could go on and talk about this guy for days, right? We could really go on. I'm trying to make sure this video is not additionally or necessarily long or longer than it needs to, but yeah, there's so much going on with this guy that I'm so in love with. Reate, please, yes, keep innovating, keep making great knives like this one. But I mean, I feel like like unique knives like these, very interesting and good looking designs like this one, I mean, these are 1 in a million. So if you have the ability to get your hand in one of these guys, I say go for it, right? Go for it. It will definitely be worth it. But again, do your research. Don't just watch my review. Check out other reviews on this guy on YouTube as well before you make your final decision. I'm sold. I'm so happy with mine. I can't begin to explain. If I miss anything, by the way, let me know in the comments any questions, concerns that you may have about this guy. Let me know any questions that I may have missed or perhaps I didn't answer on this video. Again, I'm trying to keep it short, not too long. Otherwise, I could be rambling here for hours. So if you made it this far, guys, you are the real MVP. Chances are the review on the Boker strike right here, the Warhawk strike from Boker, chances are the review on this guy is going to be live on the channel. If that is the case, I'm going to go ahead and put a card right here for you guys to check that out next. Thank you all for hanging out with me during this time. I love you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.